Road to the IPO, le podcast des entrepreneurs aguerris. Today's podcast is in English and is the first one in 2019. And I have the great pleasure to have my boy, Frank-Olivier Berce.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
How's it going, my boy? Very happy to be here. Very happy to have the chance to be on the Road to the IPO podcast. The TTS is humbled with this occasion.
Wow. My God, I'm so really excited for this. And so for those who don't know you, Frankie, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am a GMSB student at the base.
Yeah.
I am a supply chain management student with a minor in data intelligence. So I really like everything that revolves around data.
Okay.
But I also have a big passion in terms of philosophy, in terms of communication, and in terms of philosophy of mind specifically. So everything that relates to the mind and the ability to speak and disseminate information and create stuff and communicate with others is really something that I flow towards.
Okay.
And that's apart from school. And I decided to start the TTS because I had this really big ability to speak, and I wanted to have conversations, and the people around me at that time didn't want to have those conversations. So I was like, you know what? The entrepreneurial spirit is within my soul. I can find new people that want to talk. I can find new people that want to be there with me. And I started the TTS. Cool. And now we're here.
All right. So before we talk about your podcast, I want to talk about your time with RBC, one of the biggest banks in Canada, because you worked there.
Sure.
Explain to me how does it like when you work in a bank? What's the experience you get?
So, obviously, working in a corporation can be there can be various experiences within that because it's 65,000 plus employees, right? Obviously, but I started as a client advisor there. Yeah. So initially, I had a friend of mine. She invited me to this event where there were multiple branch managers, and there was the director of all Quebec. And she did a little speech at the beginning. She was like, these are the values of RBC. This is what we look for in an employee. So as she was talking, I just took some notes. And I took some notes about, okay, she wants to hear this. So I was like, all right. So I basically regurgitated what she wanted to hear in about 3 sentences. And I was hired about 30 minutes later.
Wow.
So that's the start of it. Then I got my training at Place Ville-Marie. And, I'm an operations major, so banking was never something I thought about going into, but RBC is a great company. They're very involved, very sustainable company, top 100 employers in the world, right? So I was like, this is a very good opportunity for me to jump in the corporate world. So I was like, let's do it. Jump in as a client advisor, do my training at Place Ville-Marie, which is the main branch in Montreal. And then I became a central teller at the Van Horn and Victoria branch, which is a fantastic experience. But then I realized that, when you have an entrepreneurial spirit that drives you, and you always have these ideas popping up, your brain is going at 1,000 miles an hour. And I got promoted twice in 6 months, but then it felt so incremental. It felt too small, It felt that I could make bounds and leaps on my own. So I started the TTS, and I was like, you know what? I would rather put all this energy that I'm putting into this company in my own project and make it happen on my own. So all respect to RBC. It's a fantastic company. I met some fantastic people, great experience. It gave me a basic understanding of financial skills as well. So I'm very grateful for that. But after that, I kind of started the TTS and I was like, let's move on,
You have so much potential. And what is the biggest experience that you get from RBC? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of students that listen and watching to this podcast, and then maybe they want to go start their own business, but they are not sure, and maybe they should go get a job first, they try to get experience. So what was the biggest experience you get at RBC?
Right, so I think that one very underrated experience is getting financial intelligence. So financial intelligence, as Robert Kiyosaki says in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he says that, schools teach you how to be academically intelligent, but the financial intelligence on how to budget, on how to know how to manage a credit card, on how to know how to pay your down payment, all those things are not taught in school. Even in business school, you're taught the very basics, but pushing it, it really helped me have a global picture of what RBC employees and customers were worth millions, and what established them being worth millions. These people are very aware of their financial resources and they know how to manage their money. And one of the things that really resonated with me is that they make their money work for them instead of working for their money. So they don't get paid an hourly wage. The people that are really successful in business, they get passive income on the side. They have 5 or 6 branches. They're in real estate, they're in stocks, they're in bonds. They have all these outlets that they have to their active on top of the projects that they do have, right?
They don't put the same eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Yes, right. You want to diversify, but also it's important to note that you want to jump into markets very slowly, because everybody wants to be a huge investor from day one. Everybody thinks that they're going to get $10,000 return the first day that they start trading, but evidently that's not the way it works. So I was really made aware of that by working at RBC. So that's the biggest thing that I retained from that is, money managing, how to ship money from one place to another, exchange rates, stuff like that, because we manage the whole vault. We manage the money coming in, the money going out. There was a lot of counting involved. You had to be very precise about what you were doing, and it was a great experience.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's some students that are almost done in school, like yourself, and they want to know, should they go get a job or doing their businesses?
Right. So I would say 2 things. I would say that in starting your business, there's no better way of starting your business than getting started. Getting started is the number one thing that's going to advance your business, because you're actually working on your vision. And I love to say that life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So by saying that, we see that, okay, I'm getting my business going, I have a vision, and now I'm putting it on paper. I'm establishing goals to make it move. But at the same time, you need funds to start a business. If you're going to start a business and it's fundless, you're not going to get any return on your money, right? So get a job, work full time, but work also on your project on the side, right? Like you're working at Starbucks part-time to pay for the road to the IPO for this fantastic equipment and the people that are here. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing with a job. And if people think like, oh no, working full-time and working part-time on this experiment is too much, well, evidently you're not an entrepreneur, because entrepreneur jobs are 24/7. You work 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week, and it can be draining for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't have that creative mind that just keeps pushing, and that like you can overwork yourself if you're not the type of person that's wanting to jump in that thing and you don't believe in your project enough. So I would make sure that you understand who you are as a person before you jump into a project like that.
So you're in your 20s, huh?
I am 25.
25. Wow, amazing. So cool. Let's talk about your podcast. Then we talk about the corporate world. Now we're gonna talk about the fun part of this.
All right.
The podcast.
Love it.
So Frankie, why podcasting?
All right. So I looked at all the medias. I looked at video, I looked at radio, I looked at TV, and like I saw a recurrent pattern. I saw that there was a diminishing of the concentration and the ability to concentrate. So, we look on social media, we look at Instagram, we look at Twitter, we look at Snapchat, we look at YouTube. It's all shrinking. Videos that used to be 40 minutes long are now 5 minutes long. Videos that used to be 5 minutes long are now, 2 minutes long. We see the Vine thing that was capitalizing on really shortening the time span. And that's our ability to concentrate that's really being diminished. And I really dislike that, because I think that if you're going to interpret difficult ideas, you need to have the ability to concentrate for extended periods of time, right? So that's why I started making podcasting, because it was an easy way to do it. All I needed was my mic and my voice and somebody to want to have a conversation with me. And it's a very personable way of doing it. I'm talking to you and you're talking to me, and we're just us two having a conversation, right? And also, it can be extended through the fact that we exchange knowledge and we dive deep into a subject. We're really getting into the nitty-gritty of what it is we want to talk about. In this case, it being my biography and the podcast, you know what I mean? So it's no strings attached. It's really something that's easy to set up. And it's something that you can share with others quite quickly, right? I got on Spotify, I got on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, you name it. I'm on all those platforms, and I got on all of them in 6 months. You know what I mean? So like, it's very easy to progress, but you need to have something to talk about, and you need to be consistent in your progression. So that's why I went to podcast.
Look, you have the voice too, and it looks. Yeah.
Well, I
But for sure,
appreciate
you have
that.
the voice for that, and also you have all these. When you talk, you express yourself well. So it's a huge advantage when you do
Yes.
podcasting. And also, look, we know each other like it's 3 months, but you have this energy you give to people. That's why it's
Yeah.
fascinating. You know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, man.
I think that you're fantastic as a host, and I think that it's really important to say this is that if you want to grow as an individual, it's not about where you start and who you are, it's about your rate of progression, you know what I mean? So like this man progresses so much from year to year, you know, he establishes goals, he kills his goals, and he keeps moving on. He doesn't look back, he doesn't hesitate. And that's what makes you an impressive individual. And that's my ability to grow from year to year has always been substantial, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I started to lose weight, I was 215 pounds at 16 years old, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was obese, getting on, you know, morbidly obese at a young age.
Okay.
And my doctor told me that I was obese and that I had to lose weight. I didn't take it well initially, but I saw all these things. I saw like, you know, me spending all this time in virtual gaming, playing video games, wasting my time. Why not play the biggest game that we have, which is life, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Life is a game, bro.
Exactly. I don't want to look back at my life and be like, wow, I wasted so much time playing Xbox. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's about the people that you meet. It's about the relationships that you build and where you build your company and where you're going as an individual. So it's about your rate of progression. I don't care who you were last year, 5 years ago. That doesn't matter. I want to know where you are now. I want to know who you are now, and I want to know how you're progressing. If you're not moving, and if you're not moving quick, I can't hang out with you because I need people that progress quickly. I need people that are driven. I need people that are passionate.
Where did you get all of this energy? Because I don't know if it comes from your family, your environment, because you have this deep sense of wanting to succeed.
Absolutely.
And all this, the way you phrase your words and everything. Where do you get that?
Right. So first out, my mother is a fantastic human being. She's an urban planner architect. She was working full time doing her 2 masters and her bachelor's. She did her master's at McGill, her master's at UQAM, and she studied at UQAM doing her bachelor's as well. And she's a fantastic human being. She went into an industry that was very male dominated, and she totally killed it. She was there every single day discussing with, guys worth millions of dollars that were owners of thousands of apartment units. And she went through very difficult things, but she's a fantastic human being. And that's where I get my drive from. That's where I get my power from as an individual. But I also think that I need to realize that it's everybody around me that shaped the way I am right now, and if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're headed. So I don't know where I got this energy. I don't know where I got this passion, but what I do know is that the 2 driving forces behind me are my passion and my power. It's my power when I speak and my ability to cut through the bullshit, peel back that onion layer. I want to see who you are at the base. I want to see who you are at the core. And that's why I can speak to multimillionaires and people with 300K followers and pierce and make them understand that, it doesn't matter where I am now. I could have 2 followers and people would still communicate with me because they realize they're talking to my heart. They're not talking to several layers of who I am, I peeled back those layers and I threw them away. And it was hard because, you have all these relationships with people around you, your friends that you've been with your entire life, even family, and the people. I was having a conversation with Roman, which started The Revolution, which is another company. We're doing a podcast tomorrow. He told me that the first people that brought him down were his family and his close friends, right? Because they don't believe in him. And they believe in him, but people believe in you up until they view you as a threat. Right? Until they view you as a common enemy and they don't want you to be better than them, right? But there are 2 types of people. There are zero-sum gain people. Zero-sum gain people meaning whatever you can do for them is great, but whatever they can do for you is not great. So that's a limited mentality. And like I said, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You want to have that abundance. You want to have that abundance mentality where if you help people, people are going to help you.
For sure, yeah.
Right, exactly. So that would be my great answer.
Right. I believe your mom had a huge
Oh,
impact.
absolutely humongous. Absolutely humongous. She was a single mother. She raised me and my sister. Being a single mother in the city of Montreal, I was raised in a private high school. I was a troublemaker, as a youngling, and
Frankie
absolutely a big troublemaker, man. And I was a disruptor, and it's always been that way. You know what I mean? And I always knew that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship, that I wanted to start my own projects, and starting the podcast, I was like, I need to build up the community around me. So that's why I started meeting people like you, and I started having conversations, because there's no better way to start a business than getting started.
For sure. So let's talk about the podcast. But before we talk about the podcast, there's one guy that has a huge inspiration on you. His name is Sam Harris.
Yeah,
Why?
Sam. Okay, so there's a couple. You did your research. I love that. Sam, if you're watching this, I love you, dude. I think you're amazing, and I think that what you're talking about is amazing. I love Sam for a variety of reasons. I love Sam because he is a podcaster that's not scared of touching content that's scary and touching ideas that scare people, right? So speaking of different kinds of subjects, really, he drills into the fact that he's not dependent on politically correct things. And I think that's very courageous, because we live in a time where we've never been more interconnected, right? Like, there are millions of people on social media left and right, but there's this whole squad of people that are really trying to police every single thing you do, right? And at the same time, there's no movement in ideas, because ideas are being criticized, and at the same time, there's sort of like this blockage of everything is relative, you know what I mean? Like, there's relativity in culture, there's relativity in ideas, but in my humble opinion, many ideas are better than others, and many opinions are better than others. And that used to be an uncontroversial claim, but now it's a very controversial claim, and that's a bad sign, because our ability to talk in society is our ability to grow within that society. And since we have a mix of a bunch of people from different societies and different cultural backgrounds, we have to have an understanding of what it is to live in society. And Sam talks a lot about that. And he's a big proponent of the philosophy of mind. And the philosophy of mind is essentially the claim that your psyche is responsible for all the movement within your life. So by starting the podcast, I can see where I was a year ago, I can see where I was 2 years ago, and I can see the rate at which I'm growing by having these conversations, because essentially having conversations and discussing about ideas is at the highest level a human can operate, you know what I mean? Because if you and I and Joe and whoever believes in the same idea we believe in, we pool all our resources and all our cognitive ability to think into this cloud of information, and we aggregate all that data to make that idea better, you know what I mean? And as ideas go on, I throw away the ones that are bad, and I keep the ones that are good. So that's what makes me grow as a human, and that's why I love Sam. But I also love Sam because he's a meditator. He's somebody who is very calm, and he's also somebody who pierces people when he talks, and he always respects the people that he talks to, even when he talks about difficult ideas. He's never going to insult anybody.
Yeah, he's a philosopher. For those who don't know, he's really a philosopher, a podcaster, a neuroscientist.
Absolutely.
So you can go and listen to his podcast on Apple Podcast.
Yeah, he's on multiple different platforms, but he's a neuropsychologist. He got his PhD from UCLA. He's also a longtime meditator. He has an app, a meditation app that he started as well. He wrote around 10 to 15 books as well. So fantastic author, very clearly written, very clearly spoken. That's why I love him. And I think that he really helped me, separate the wheat from the chaff. Really.
He's your inspiration.
He's a big inspiration.
I see. I saw your videos, man. You talk a lot about him. You have a huge respect for him.
Absolutely. And everybody should have those people that, mark you and that are the pillars to where you want to go. But at the same time, I don't think that idolizing people is good either, right? Because if I put Sam on a pedestal too much, if he does something bad, I'm going to view it as not so bad. You know what I mean? We see that phenomenon with the election of Donald Trump, for example.
Well, look, everyone is human. And I mean, nobody's perfect, so you only have to take the good part and leave the bad side.
Absolutely, that's right. You take the things that really help you, and you throw away the things that are bad for you.
And you respect the guy.
Absolutely.
Nobody's perfect.
No, nobody's perfect, and he's putting himself out there, and that's saying a lot, you know?
Yeah. Hey, all right. So let's stop talking about other people's podcasts and talk about your podcast, the TTS podcast, through the static.
Through the static.
Before we talk about that, because I saw on social media you're doing a rebranding about your podcast. Let's talk before about the mission and why the rebranding.
Sure. So basically, initially, the goal of the TTS was really to have conversations left and right. You know what I mean? But now I really want to make it more about business and people in general. I want to talk to people and really see what their source of inspiration is and what their passion is. I want to see what drives them and what makes them the people that they are. You know what I mean? I'm getting guests left and right who are fantastic. But at the same time, I want to have this business acumen within it. I really want to have a business edge with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head towards startups a little bit more. I'm going to be looking at different startups, and it's going to be looking at the biggest fear and looking at decision making. So we're going to be looking at the different phases of the business cycle, and we're going to be looking at the deepest fear people have, because the deepest fear people have is often preceded by a big decision, you know, or the fear precedes the decision. They're scared of making a big decision, and they either make a bad choice or they make a good choice. They make a bad choice if they don't have the tools, the brainstorming processes, and the pillars that are there to support them.
The information,
or they make a good decision if they have those things. So my goal right now is to create a website that's going to have to do with a branch of the TTS while keeping on doing the things that I'm doing with the TTS, getting to startups and really making it business oriented. So we're going to aggregate information about decision making and make a comprehensive outlook on what are the different phases of the business cycle and how do you aggregate information and make the right decisions at the right time.
Cool. Well, I thought you would say that you're gonna compete with me, but it's
no. And like, we're both podcasters, man. And we're both podcasters, and we're here to help each other. Like I said, it's not about that limited mentality. And I got exposed to people with that limited mentality that do podcasting. And there was a change of faith from them too, because they realized, you know what? Like, we're two different individuals. Your podcast is in French, my podcast is in English. I'm Frank, you're Hugo. You got your brand, I got my brand.
But a little bit of competition is always.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's friendly competition.
You fire me up, man.
Oh, same here, man. Same here, absolutely. And we spend time together because of that, because we can help each other. You know, when we went to have supper the other day when we were done with Christmas with the Homlies, you told me that you wanted to surround yourself with the 5 people that were really key in your life. And I believe that I'm going to be one of those 5 people. And same here, man. Like, I wouldn't limit it to 5 people, because I think that, like, you know, I have all these fantastic people that I'm meeting now that I don't really know. Like, from today I could meet like a person in the street that's fantastic, and tomorrow I can meet this person with 1 million followers that's like super close to me, like I met Todd and Kent. You know what I mean? That gave me amazing ability to express myself through Accelerator and to mentoring and stuff like that. So I don't want to limit it quite right now, but I do think it's really important to know who you are and who you want to be with.
Yes, that's true. Hey, this man here has started a lot of projects. You know, the acceleration of the mind.
Yes.
The series weekly wisdom. The Meet the Strange and Challenge. The Woman in Leadership. And many more.
Yes. So there were a couple things there. I do a weekly series where I work on my authorship skills. I work on my writing skills. I think that being able to express yourself is not only, being a communicator is not only spoken communication. It is written communication. It is nonverbal communication. It is who you are as an individual and how you can express your mind and put it in other people's minds. You know what I mean? So that's why I write the weekly wisdom, and I write what I think about different subjects, because I want feedback from people. I want their opinion, and I want to see what resonates with them, because I do believe that, you know, having interviewed people and having gone through the path that I have in my life, I can help people with the weekly wisdom, but also acceleration of the mind. Kent gave me the opportunity to get into a business accelerator, right? So this is sort of like a pool of different days that enables you to target your business, look at data and analytics, and get ROI from that business, right? So that's where I got the idea for the startups. That's how I'm going to aggregate the information, and that's what's going to guide my business plan and my business decisions in the future, because I got that helping hand from Accelerator. And I'm logging everything. I have about a 30-page journal right now that I'm writing, and I do a weekly series where I recap every week, right? And the different series through the TTS are really my ability to have different conversations with different people. And the Women in Leadership is a great example. You know, like, there's this whole argument that we live under a patriarchy, which is true, but how do we as men try to understand what women are struggling through? You know what I mean? Like, how do we understand other people's perspective, and how do we build empathy, but also how do we separate what they're being exposed to versus what their weaknesses may be, and how do we adopt long-term consequences, and how do we have the proper mindset to flow in the future into a better society?
Okay, but I'm pretty sure the people that are watching and listening to the podcast here, they want to know why so many projects. Do you feel like there's too many? How do you handle all of that?
Right. And overload is can be a bad thing, and definitely can be a bad thing. And I was exposed to that, 2 days ago when I really wasn't sure. I was in my bed and I was like, wow, man, like, I have all these things going on. Like, I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do. But as Gary Vee said, if you're going to do something, just do it. And like, if you have nothing to do, start a podcast and start new projects. And I did a talk with Zaina Garzouzi, and she told me, people are going to give you your lane in business, but if you don't try anything, people are not going to tell you if it works or not. So I'm 25, man. I'm not 55 years old. I don't have an accomplished career. I don't have a career at all, but I have an ability to speak, and I have a mouth, and I have a brain, and I have 2 eyes and 2 ears.
This energy that overflows.
That's it, and I want to share it. You know what I mean? And I think that if people find it annoying, they don't have to listen to it. But I'm gonna keep posting, and I'm gonna keep growing as an individual up to the point where where something resonates and people get to know me, and something works out. You know what I mean? I get all these projects because I get all these opportunities. I started Acceleration of the Mind because I got invited to Accelerator. I started the Weekly Wisdom because I wanted to share my ability to write to people, and I got invited to do an article for LinkedIn. I got invited to do an article for the John Molson Business Review, and that never would have happened if people didn't see that I express myself regularly, right? So it's all about what you put out there and what you can be liable to. So if people see, if I want to be an author and I haven't written a damn word in my life, people are not going to listen to me. People are going to say, like, okay, you want to be an author? What have you done? What do you do? Where do you go? How do you do it? And you're like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never done it. We're like, well, how are you going to prove to the world that you're going to do? Who's going to
say before you go and talk to me, do something?
Exactly. They want action instead of just talking. Too many people just talk. Too many people don't act. And your word is your bond to the world. And my word is not perfect, but I do my damn best from day to day to hustle and make sure that I'm putting the drive behind my word and going the best direction possible in the best way possible. And I'm liable as well to if I decide to stop a series from day 1 to day 2, I'm totally fine with that. Look, I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm not these super hyped people. I'm just a guy trying to have conversations, trying to grow. I'm still learning. I don't want to get put into a proverbial corner and be like, oh, well, you did this and you did that. Sure, but at least I did.
Yes. Wow, man. For people that are just listening to this podcast and not watching it, I can see the energy coming out of your body. Like.
The aura is flowing out, you know what I mean? Yes. And I'm talking to you, but like I talk to you like I talk to anybody. And that's what matters, is my ability to talk and my ability to disseminate information and connect with people, right? That's what it all comes down to.
By the way, people that are listening to this, you need to watch the video. You need to see this beautiful man.
Come down to the TTS. We're not gonna bite. I swear you're gonna have a good time. We have 27 episodes up. He has like 50. I know. You probably need to finish all his content first, but once you're done, come down. We're gonna be publishing every week starting from February. We're gonna start publishing again. I already have 4 months pre-recorded podcast, so we have like 20 something episodes already pre-recorded. We're gonna try to make the best content possible. We're gonna get on video, and all these projects left and right. It just makes me so excited.
Yes. Cool. So we're almost on the second part of the podcast. Almost done. So I wanna, there's a lot of projects that you're doing, but there's one that its name is Weros.
Right.
So why do you become a Weros ambassador?
Right.
And what is Weros exactly?
Absolutely. You're an ambassador as well. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you what you think Weros is, because I think that the definition of Weros depends on the person. Weros is a collective agreement that people have different subjects that they want to hear in actuality, and that they want the world to hear, and we need like sort of an umbrella that can get all these people behind them, you know what I mean? And us as ambassadors, we have the ability to share our platforms and share our voices to enable people to express themselves and express what they think is wrong with the world. And that can be, climate change, like it can be like political problems, like it can be famine. So it's a very big umbrella, and there's the petitions.
Yes.
There's the grievances themselves. We go in court as well. I think that going into what Weros is specifically wouldn't pay tribute to it, but I want to hear your definition of what Weros is.
For me, I know that we need to take care of the planet, but I think I do this for myself, because when Alain Mignot, the founder of Weros, he offered me to be an ambassador, it just make me aware that I wasn't doing the stuff to take care of my planet. Now I always with my bottle, not plastic anymore. There's no plastic, and also like I try to take better care of the planet.
That's huge.
Because it's mostly for me, because this is going to help me on the future. Because when you start doing something with yourself, others will follow you.
Absolutely. I think it's about having a forward-thinking mentality as well. There was a study done in 2018 that said we have about 12 years before not global warming, but climate change really hits a peak point where we can't come back from it. And it's really up to us to use our individual voices and platforms to get that forward thinking going. So, what are you doing from day to day? Are you thinking about the planet?
Yes.
Are you moving towards, helping people? That's what I wanted to achieve also with Dinner with the Homlies and Christmas with the Homlies, feeding people in the street, helping society, trying to get better in and of itself has multiple angles. But in the end, Weros is really trying to help people as best as it can by aggregating as many voices as it can, using the platform and becoming a powerful tool that people can use, and it can be represented around the world as a symbol of ecological justice, but also, different causes that it has behind them, and that it can aggregate all those little different voices that ambassadors and people that want social grievances have, and just like slurp all that up and become this like super powerful entity that can help people,
Yes. I still have a long way to go as an ambassador, man. You're doing great, man. You're doing great.
I'm really trying.
We're still far away from Yan Lajoie.
Oh my God, Yan! Shout out, by the way, probably chilling in Thailand right now. We had a couple talks. Great guy, great mentor.
Coach, yeah.
Absolutely, he was your coach.
He still is. He still is my coach.
Okay, cool. I thought you got your little plaque, so you were done.
He's long-term coach.
Okay, got it. But he's a great guy, currently traveling the world, having fun, but also speaking about, strategy and having fun. And I think that's really his kernel. And he's also a Weros ambassador.
Yes.
So shout out to Weros, shout out to Alain, shout out to all the ambassadors. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for the opportunities that you're giving us.
All right. So I want to talk, there's two questions. I want to talk about why having genuine conversation matters. Like why having a conversation matters in today's world. Like because people don't talk to each other anymore.
No.
That's what you were saying in the beginning. So what do you think is so important to have like a really conversation?
Okay, so I'll point to the first impediment to have a conversation, and that is this little thing right here. Very distracting, this thing. Very, very distracting, because it's always on us, it's always there around us, and it stops us from having a conversation. My phone is a great tool. It's a great thing that I can use to connect with people. I can use social media and connect with thousands of people that I could never meet before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, we have all these conversations that we used to have as individuals.
Yes.
And when I used to sit down with somebody, I would sit down with them with no distractions.
Okay.
I would sit down with them and have a conversation like we're having right now. This is special now, but it wasn't special before, because people weren't always on their phones. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And social media has really been a big problem. Like, it's a problem and it's a solution.
Yes. Yes.
Because you know, we have this overflow of information. You know, there's these constant stream of information coming in, and like, you know, there's instant gratification left and right. Oh, like, this guy liked your post, this guy shared your post, and that's great. You can share content, but oftentimes the number of shares is more important than the quality of the share. So when people share an article, they don't read the entire article. When people share an idea, they don't understand the idea fully, and especially because of recurring algorithms. If I believe, let's put it on a political spectrum. I'm not making this political, but suppose that I'm a conservative in the U.S. And I like conservative posts a lot. The way social media works is that the feedback mechanism is going to give me more, going to pair me with conservatives, is going to pair me with people that are like-minded. And that's a problem. It's a problem because the people that are liberal and the people that are at the center and that diverge on issues are kind of all thrown aside, right? And that means that the conversations that we used to have are no longer there, and there's no longer a free flow of opinion. It's like there's this opinion or there's this opinion, and there's nothing in between. Right? And so that's a 21st century sickness. This overload of information turns out to be the lack of our ability to speak of that information because there's too much. First, because there's too much of it. Second, because of the ideological echo chambers. And that's why I wanted to have conversations. That's why I wanted to sit down and talk about identity politics, and talk about women in leadership, and talk about artificial intelligence, and not put myself into a corner and try to monetize the business, but talk about stuff that matters and grow within that.
But you know what? I believe people still communicate in social media. They still have a conversation with other people. Maybe at school they don't have friends, but on social media and all these online games, they're still connecting with other people. So we only live in a new world. So people will always continue to communicate in a different, different ways.
Absolutely. Okay. I was having a conversation with Terry Brock, which is a public speaker, hundreds of thousands of followers. He was nice enough to sit down with me and talk with me. And he said, Frank, there are many ways to communicate with people, but the problem with social media and, communicating through media in general is that if I look at you and I'm having a conversation right now and I tell you like, oh, Hugo, that's a really nice shirt, and I don't look at you, and that means that can be said in multiple different settings. But if I write it on social media and I say, oh, that's a really nice shirt, my intent is much different. The way it can be analyzed is much different, and the goal is much different, because 97% of communication is body language. Therefore, there needs to be another human with you, and instead now we have all these filters. This is like we go through the Instagram filter, then there's the filter of what we write, then there's the emojis, then there's like all these filters that we operate through when we write on social media, and that's lost. That's all put aside when we talk person to person, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean, is that you don't go through those filters anymore. Those are put aside. And that's why I think it scares people, because you're used to operating through all these filters, but if I'm in front of you, you can't run away from me.
Yeah.
You can't run away from the conversation we're having because we're sitting down and we're talking heart to heart, and I'm looking at you in the eyes and I'm communicating with you right now. Okay. That's what matters, and that's why I sit down with people and I have podcasts with them.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
Hey, let's also look at the audience, huh? Don't forget
Hey
the
guys,
audience.
what's up?
Before the last question of the podcast, I want to let people know where they can contact you. Which platforms are you on?
Absolutely. So the TTS itself, in terms of podcasting mediums, is on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast. We're starting to get on YouTube, but the main platform we use is SoundCloud for now. I know, not the best platform, but it's the platform we started on. And the RSS feed was migrated at SoundCloud. So when I post on SoundCloud, it automatically posts on all the other platforms.
Yeah.
So,
And yourself?
and myself, I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube now, and yeah, that would be LinkedIn also. LinkedIn is a big one. I'm very active on LinkedIn. For all business inquiries, LinkedIn would be like the number one thing. If you have an event you want me to speak at, if you want me to talk about vision, strategy, purpose, all those things, I want to get into public speaking. I want to get to talk about why I think that podcasting is such a fantastic medium and that we can share through this medium. So yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, would be the two main ones. Then Instagram, I'm getting more active on because partly of you. And Victoria, she told me, she's doing my social media now, and she told me, like, you really got to get on Instagram. And I'm like, but I don't want to. It's not like, I don't really like it because of all the filters, but at the same time, it's easy to segment a market and to really get into that niche that you want to get to. So I'm on there now, and we're on all those platforms, and hopefully you'll come and follow us.
So they only can go and Frank-Olivier Berce.
Frank-Olivier Berce would be my personal, but through the static Instagram, through _the_ static on Instagram, on LinkedIn, it's just Frank-Olivier, so FRANK-Olivier, OLIVIER, space BERCE, so BERCE, and just through the static on Facebook and on SoundCloud, so it's super easy, and you'll probably link my social media pages.
I will put all the links on the description.
Absolutely.
All right, so this man here has a big heart. He's very kind because he created this huge movement. I believe it's going to become
huge movement.
So Christmas with the Homlies.
Right.
Why?
Okay. So Christmas with the Homlies.
What is it first?
Right. Yeah. So that would be a good question to answer first for our viewers. Yeah. Christmas with the Homlies was an initiative that I started where the goal was to feed 80 people during Christmas time. Yeah. And I started a GoFundMe. And a GoFundMe is a public funding platform where people can donate to a cause. And initially I had a podcast, was called Dinner with the Homlies.
Yeah. I listened to the interview with Joe.
Did you like it?
My God, he's fantastic.
He was very well spoken. Yes. He has a child. It's very interesting and it puts a face on homelessness. But initially, Dinner with the Homlies was my attempt at having a conversation with a homeless person and interviewing them about like their life, because every time in exam period I would go down, take the metro, and I would talk to Joe a little bit. Like he was there with his sign, just like super peaceful, super happy, and I would give him a little bit. I would give him like an apple or a clementine or something that I would bring back every day. And eventually I was like, I gave him something, and then I was going to the metro, and then it clicked. I was like, oh, we should do this. Like I can't not record this. So I was like, okay, let's do this. I want to interview you. I'll pay you like a lunch. We'll go have an interview after. Yeah. So we ended up doing that, and we sat down. We talked about the who, the why, the when, the how of who he is and how he got into his position. But then it made me think. It made me think like, if I'm going to use that on my platform as a way to elevate the platforms, I also need to give back to the community of homeless people around Concordia and around Montreal, right? So I started the GoFundMe, and Christmas with the Homelies, we got $450, and we cooked meals for 80 people, hand wrote letters, went to give it to them, like we gave them pairs of gloves. You were there. We did.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody can come, and we're going to probably do it again next year. Hopefully aim for like, $1,000, $2,000, make it bigger, make it more efficient, But yeah, basically we did Berry-UQAM, we did Bonaventure, Sainte-Catherine, Concordia. We did all these like metro stations where they would sleep at. Left them the meal, took pictures of it, and we're gonna make a montage with a song coming in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So that's the aim, and that's what we're gonna be doing every year, hopefully. I think it's a great initiative.
Yes,
and you know, I saw Zion doing it too. He fed 150 people in the street, and I was like, you know what, like I can do that too. I can help people too. Like I want to help people too, and I can. So I did. And it's all about getting started, and it worked. It really worked well. The turnout was fantastic. The people that did it were fantastic. Shout out to all my friends. Shout out to all the people that participated in this experiment. It was great to have people cook with me, participate with me, and help in making my vision successful.
I love this project, but what ticks me is that you guys are doing this only on Christmas. People want to eat every day of the year. Do you think you can do like one, maybe 2, 3 events like that, or is it too much?
That's a good
or maybe just because it's Christmas, it takes more attention?
Absolutely. I think it was in the Christmas spirit to do that, and to give back is really in the Christmas spirit. But
give back is always, no?
Oh, it's every day, and those people are struggling every day.
Yes.
But me as an individual, you know, I'm still a student full time. I'm doing my job. I would love to participate full time and do this experiment regularly, but the truth is that I don't have the time. I had the time during Christmas because I have time off, but I still needed to schedule 2 days and do nothing during those 2 days. You know, we ended up cooking like 6 hours, and we were like 10 plus people. So like imagine me doing that on my own, that would take me like weeks, right? So it's not that I don't want to, it's just that in terms of time management, I have a hard time foreseeing that I can make like every week, like, okay, and I'm going to spend 2 days doing that. You know, like I already have so much going on that it's difficult for me to think of other times I could do it.
Okay. And what about the people that didn't want the food?
Right.
What do you think about that?
That's fine by me. I'm so used to being told no. I've been rejected like a jillion times. Like it's not about when you get rejected, because you learn when you get rejected. And I can't judge those people because I don't think that they should be judged, because they're already at the bottom of the barrel. Like, you know, you're not going to judge somebody that's in the street. You know, you have a roof over your head, you have some food in your fridge, you have a bed to sleep on, you have people that love you. Those people oftentimes don't, and that's surrounded by a lot of stigma. It's surrounded by a lot of substance abuse. And, you know, I'm not there to judge them. I'm there to help them.
You guys need to listen to Joe podcast.
Joe's podcast.
Yes, well, it's your podcast, but I'm going to interview.
Dinner with the Homlies episode 1. Joe's episode was fantastic. I'm planning on doing a second episode in a couple months. Right now, we're backlogged with all these fantastic episodes, but it's going to be it was a great experiment. I can't wait to do it again. And I definitely think that, you know, it gave me a lot of poise and pushback. And I was like, okay, getting some pushback is not bad, because you're obviously going to get pushback for any project you start, right? But it's about how you act in the face of defeat, you know? Are you just going to put your hands down and be like, oh, I can't do this because people think I can't do this? Like, screw people. I love people, but like, the people are only going to support you when you're successful.
Yes.
Right? When you're getting to that point, you're just another person.
Yes, that's true.
So that's why you shouldn't really care what people think about you, because that's not what matters. Because at the end of the day, as Jan said,
they care, but they don't care
like that much. That's it. Like as Jan said, you could be inspiring somebody that passed right next to you, but they're too scared of telling you because they're scared that they're not enough and they're not doing enough.
They are not there yet.
Because ultimately you're a mirror to other people.
Yeah, true.
Every person projects their insecurities on you.
Yeah.
And that's something I got very aware of doing this experiment. And I'm so much more compassionate with people now and so much more understanding with people that it's fantastic. You know, like I've grown so much in the past year, and in a big part that's because of it. It's because of the people that didn't want me to succeed, because I wanted even more now. And they're going to be the first people I thank. Because they're the people that give me the pushback and give me that fight or flight reaction to go above and rise above who I was before.
Wow. You guys need to follow this man, Frank-Olivier.
Through the static, going up and never coming back down, man.
Thank you very much for this amazing interview, Frankie. And I also want to thank Nicolas. He's been standing there.
Absolutely, he's just like listening and being awesome cameraman.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, it was an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for using this fantastic platform to promote the TTS. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning into this fantastic show with this fantastic host. Keep this man on your radar. He's going to grow and he's going to keep on impressing.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
This concludes the episode.
Take care, guys. Whoa!